Well, the sun is shining. It is midsummer right now. Some of us are on vacation, so you may be listening to us on the beach. But for those of us that are still working hard, pick up a post-it note because today's episode is a fabulous one. We have Kim Colbert, who is joining us as one of our most unique unicorns that's running around BCD, a person that has actually worked through the three organizations within the BCD family, and it now is landed right back where she started. So can't wait to talk to you, Kim. Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And it's good to have you. I'm really excited that we get to connect because, like I said, uniqueness is the topic of this week. You bring such an interesting background that we have not yet discussed on the podcast. So let me just hand you the speaker right now, and you speak into who are you, where are you sitting right now in BCD, and what's kind of like the accelerated version of your journey to where we are today.
Awesome. Yeah. So I have been with the company for 10 years now, and as you said, I've had a very unique journey throughout the time. So I started with BCD Travel actually as an intern, merely to boost my credit hours so I could graduate early, and ended up having just the best time and the best team experience, joined into the global marketing team post-graduation, and worked with them for a couple of years, found my way into meetings and events, where I then transitioned over to our BCD M&E team for a couple of years, and then gained a lot of subject matter expertise that I was able to bring into the Advito consulting arm, where I started out consulting towards our corporate meetings service area, and then transitioned into a home that was much more comfortable for me, which was our traveler engagement practice area, putting all of my marketing knowledge to use and combining it with all of the travel and meetings experience that I had gained over my career with BCD. I have just now, in December of 2018, rejoined BCD Travel in the global marketing team as a bridge between our global sales team and our marketing organization to try to land some new big accounts.
And I could not have thought of somebody better to fit that role, Kim. Wow. So BCD, M&E, Advito, BCD.
Yes, I have gone full circle in exactly 10 years.
and like you said, you started out as an intern, so this is a great example of the talent cycle within BCD of somebody that's been able to lily pad their career and their confident self throughout their career. So maybe we can pause. Where are you based right now, Kim?
Well, my husband is military, so at the moment I'm sitting in North Carolina, but we are packing up and moving to Rhode Island for a year in just 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness, and thank you for his service. Kim, I would love to back up just a second, because we've had a number of discussions. We've even had a roundtable around this idea of, like I said, lily padding. And I would like to almost, as we speak to the listeners here, a lot of people who are very much all about their own development and very much all about developing their career at BCD Travel. Kim, maybe you can give us a bit of the why behind why do you feel that you've had permission or given yourself permission to kind of change roles so often versus, staying and really getting the roots down. I mean, from fetching coffee as a marketing intern all the way through to now consulting on the Advito side, there's a lot of kind of depth in that rainbow. So maybe you can just give us a bit of the why behind all of that.
Absolutely. I think coming out of college, I was 20 when I graduated, and I knew that I liked marketing for the aspect of it was a role that gave me the opportunity to be creative and really connect with people and help tell stories, and that was all really exciting to me. But I had the really good fortune of just making good connections along the way and really exercising networking and becoming a sponge, and really my career, I think, took off when I started planning and hosting the internal events for BCD, because not only was I then broadening my network base with all of our executive leadership teams and account managers, and I got to meet hundreds of people that I wouldn't have gotten to meet in a stationary role, but it also really opened me up to all of the possibilities within the organization. So I was able to see, what a day in the life of sales is, or account management or Advito, and it really helped me just kind of progress into the mindset of I have the knowledge and the expertise, and I've learned a lot over the years, and how can I best apply that, and also balance it with where I am in my personal life as well.
That's great. That's so great. So, if as I'm sure many of the listeners are thinking here, which is your favorite team to play on? Advito, M&E, or BCD?
It's so funny. Even though we're all, one organization, they all act very differently. They have very different cultures and feels, and I was able to gain perspective from each of them. And it's one thing to be in a very small organization like Advito, where everyone, you can pick up the phone and call April Bridgman or Leslie or Jeroen and have them in a minute, and be able to pick their brain for 10 or 15 minutes. And it's also great to be in a bit of a broader organization like BCD again, where you have more resources to pull on, you have different perspectives to pull in. So I can't say that I have a favorite, although I can say that I have really enjoyed working with all of the teams that I've been on.
Sensational. So let's stay here just for a second. I just want to camp out on this for a moment, because I obviously get to work across a number of different verticals like you were speaking to there, and some people say, well, I really can't apply for another position because I'll kind of need to get my manager's permission before I can apply outside of my organization. Could you maybe talk to us about those expectations? How did you set them up for your ability to look outside the swimming lane that you're in?
Well, the first thing that I was told from my first manager when I suggested that I'd like to broaden my horizons was always that a good manager supports you in personal and professional development. And I would just make the recommendation that you're always transparent with your manager, that you're having regular touch points to talk about what's working and what isn't, and where you're looking to grow and why. And they will help you identify the ways that you can gain some of that from your current position, or they might be very open to helping you consider other outside opportunities. And the bottom line is, if you're really looking to make a change, your manager will want to keep you within the organization as a whole. So even if they know that they're losing a good member of their team, they know that you're not going outside of BCD, and you're there to help with transitioning. And so for me, it's always been to have very transparent and open conversations. Certainly the annual review is a great way to kind of set the stage and talk about what your short-term and long-term goals are. And I've always taken those very seriously and used those as opportunities to really create my roadmap and encourage my manager to get engaged with me and help support me through it, but really that I'm the one in the driver's seat for it.
Oh my gosh, what a glowing example right there. And for the listeners that may have missed that, Kim is in the driver's seat. Kim is the one initiating the conversations, not waiting for her manager to come to her. So I think that again, is just a shining example of how one can be confident. And, if I could echo one thing there, Kim, the fact that your managers are looking with an abundance mindset, saying, sure, we're in this little swimming pool and we're playing towards this goal for our department or our organization, but truly we're one little swimming pool in this massive lake of swimming pools, if that's even a visual, where we're aiming to keep people within the BCD family versus have them bounce and we lose talent to the marketplace. So awesome, Kim. Right now in the current role that you're working in, what's like 1 to 2 highlights of the great things you get to do day to day?
Oh my goodness. Well, I get to work on some really fun and creative projects, and things that are hopefully making a big splash with some of our prospective clients. And one of the things that I love to do most is work on the creative side, and working on producing a couple of videos that position us better for conversations with prospects. And I think that that's really exciting. I also, as I'm coming back into the global marketing team, it's been 7 or 8 years since I've been with the group, and it's changed and evolved a lot. And so I'm learning a lot more about our counterparts around the world, and our team is set up so much differently, and we have so many more resources to support in areas that we used to lack in. And so for me, that's another really exciting and fun part, is kind of getting to know the team again and understanding how far they've come.
How big is the marketing team right now while we're sitting in here?
Oh gosh, I think we have 40 plus global members, and it might even be larger than that. It might be 50. And like I said, we have really done a reorganization this year to segment into creative services, our digital marketing team, commercial marketing. We have social media support these days. So it's really an all-around powerhouse of creative thinkers.
Sensational. And who is your direct boss, Kim, if you don't mind sharing?
I report to Anya Turner. She sits in Frankfurt, Germany.
And you're in Raleigh. And these videos that you're working on, are they going to be available for the masses, or are they going to be just for the prospects, like you said?
Some of them will keep close to our chest, and others we will share within our internal organization.
Very cool. Kim, 10 years at BCD. Obviously, you've bounced from place to place to place, and that's kept you engaged. But I know you and I offline have talked about some of the cool things that you get to do in terms of work-life balance. So let me give you the platform right now, or the soapbox for you to stand on, and maybe teach us, some of the listeners, myself, about how work-life balance has worked for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm a role model by any means, but I do feel like I've been able to strike a really good balance. And a lot of that comes from the ability to work remote. And I know we as an organization are really supportive of enabling our employees to get their work done in the way that is most, convenient and available to our employees. And so I, as a young parent, I have 2 kids under the age of 3.
Oh my goodness. That just changed everything. Yeah.
And my husband, like I said, is military, so he's often gone for long periods of time. I could not maintain sanity if I wasn't able to work remotely. And, being able to get my kids off to daycare in the morning and come back and work through my top priority tasks of the day and get through some email. And, I often block my calendar. In fact, 2 days a week, I block my calendar for 90 minutes so that I can go get a yoga class in, because if I don't do it then, I won't get it done ever.
Good.
And I also find that I come back, I'm more energized, I am more creative. Most of my really good ideas come when I'm laying on my yoga mat. So I've done, a lot to make a priority for myself to maintain my healthy habits and include some personal passion into work and still maintain a social life. And it's a challenge, and I just encourage everyone to block time on your calendar and don't feel guilty about it, because truly it does make you a more effective worker if you're able to take time for yourself, and your output will be much higher, or at least mine is.
And that's really good sage right there, sage wisdom, Kim, knowing that at least here in the US, we have a lot of folks that are working remote. When you say that keeping a social life, how do you find, or what are some techniques you find work as you work remote?
I'm a really big supporter of Teams and video calls. I have always told the teams that I've been a part of that, I never put my status to busy. I'm always green unless I'm on a call like this. And I love to just pop in and chat with people. And most of my calls, almost all of my counterparts are virtual. And so a lot of our calls start with a good, healthy 5 or 10 minutes of personal chat before we dive into things, because that really does help feel connected to the person that you're talking to, the objective that you're trying to cover, the project that you're working on, the organization as a whole. It's all really important to me. I have also made contacts with people that I might not typically overlap, but if I know somebody's in Raleigh or I see it in their signature line, I reach out and just say, hey, I'd love to meet up for lunch one day. And, I've done that on a couple of occasions. And again, even though we might not work together directly, it certainly helps to, again, continue networking within the organization and to feel connected to people.
And you are speaking right into wheelhouse. Did you participate recently in the talent pilot of the co-working cafe, Kim?
I did, yes. I was able to participate in that, and it was a wonderful way to, again, meet somebody new and just pick their brain on what their path has been and how it's helped them in their career, and to, share between the two of us how we could help each other moving forward.
And our listeners may have no idea what you and I are smiling about right now, so maybe you could paint some context.
Sure. So I was part of our Manager's Challenge program, and we have, what is it, Chica, around 130 or so
Correct.
participants. And, when I went through the program, I was in a group of about 25 other managers, and then had the opportunity to work with each of them and part of a smaller pod, even of 4 that worked together on a weekly basis. But as there were multiple groups within the organization and around the globe, Chica and the team had made it available to us to really connect with all of the managers that were part of the challenge program. So I met with someone who was outside of my initial 25, and again got to kind of broaden my networking opportunity.
And for all of our listeners wondering, wow, I'd love that opportunity too, we are actually considering how we can scale this so that this idea of working virtually, and even if you're in an office, extending your network through meeting somebody virtually via MS Teams or Skype for a virtual coffee, just to learn about different roles, learn about different organizations, is something that we have on our horizons here moving into 2020. So good stuff, Kim. Good stuff. All right. Well, I believe that we're coming up on our time, Kim. Is there anything else that we would like to share with our listeners before I ask you 5 random questions?
Oh gosh. No, I mean, just follow your passion and never be intimidated or concerned what others might think if you want to make a change. Certainly encourage you to stay within the organization, but there are so many opportunities within BCD and so many ways to continue growing and developing, and always be open to things that you might not have originally planned on.
And for all of our naysayers out here again is a shining example of somebody that's been through our 3 families and has boomeranged back, for lack of better terms, back to the original BCD marketing. So good on you, Kim. Way to take control of your confident self.
Thank you.
All right. Well, my favorite part of the podcast is I get to ask you 5 random questions. So, Kim, here is question number 1. Have you, and when was the last time, if you have, ever been on a cable car?
Oh my goodness. I guess this counts. I'm from Pittsburgh originally, and we have 2 inclines that go up Mount Washington. And so the last time I was on one was when I was at a dear friend's wedding earlier this year, so in March.
Very cool. Kim, question number 2. With 2 3-year-olds or under 3-year-olds, do you believe in fairies?
I do, absolutely. And we have fairy dust to prove it.
Oh my good gracious. Can you remember when you were a teenager, who was the world record longest phone call with that you remember growing up? Was it a boyfriend? Was it a BFF? Do you remember their name?
Oh gosh, it was probably some may think this is pathetic, but it was probably my mom. My mom traveled a lot for work, and so we would have marathon phone calls anytime she missed big sporting events or tests, or she helped me study over the phone. So I did a lot of marathon phone calls with my mom.
That's awesome. The last thing to tick you off.
When people are late to things. So I was at an event this week, and someone showed up about 20 minutes late, and that really boils my blood.
Time integrity. Do you choose to throw bread to ducks when you hang out with ducks?
Yes. We always have duck bread in the pantry.
Are you kidding me? I love it, Kim. And final question, which I think you've answered throughout this podcast anyway. If it wasn't the people, what is the most favorite part for you being at BCD?
The flexibility. Definitely having the ability to manage my personal life and my professional life and continue growing. BCD provides the best flexibility.
Kim Colbert, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today and being the example of somebody that can choose to take control of their career, but also show that this company, it is able to be career latticed as well.
Thanks, Chica. I appreciate the time.
And again, another big shout out to our listeners. If you have not shared an episode lately with a colleague, today's episode may be one that you want to push across your team. In fact, use MS Teams and start sprouting this podcast within BCD. We're getting a lot of momentum now with over 4,000 downloads of the podcast, which is continuing to have the objective to share the different departments, share the different faces throughout BCD, share the different stories of growing up in BCD, so that we can all widen our business acumen for the business. So if you're a person that wants to jump on and have a conversation, if you would like to take my position right now and actually host a conversation, would love for another voice to step on in and take the reins for an episode or two as we continue to build this world of BCD. Have a great week, and we will talk soon.